Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds. Wake me up before you record.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yeah, that's it.
Throughout my life, the 10 rings gave our family power. If you want them to be yours one day, you have to show me you are strong enough to carry them.
Do you remember that show?
Of course I do.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff, Tom. Green monkeys. All right.
All right.
So this is, this is a film that came out, a Marvel film.
It is. It is a film.
Yeah. It's getting a lot. It's grossing a lot.
Yeah. If the numbers are correct today, it's like the biggest Labor Day opening ever.
Oh wow! Oh right, Labor Day. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Labor Day to all.
Yeah, which I mean, it's both impressive. I mean, it's still impressive because it's something like I think 80 million.
Yeah.
But it's not movies. Not a lot of movies get released over Labor Day weekend, but still,
really?
An $80 million weekend is a huge fucking weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it in the theaters and it was packed.
Yes, it was very crowded.
Yeah, it was very excited, happy crowd.
It was the first time since the beginning of the pandemic where I've almost been tripped by 14 different children in public.
Nice. You trip them back, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
You trip them back.
Oh, I just grab them by the head and shove them. Give them a good shove.
Yeah, you can pick a child up by the head. It's fine.
They know.
Yeah. Oh, they better know. Yeah. That's it's important. This has gotten it's almost at like a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
It's high reviews. Lots of people. Mike, the crowd that I was watching with was very into it. Lots of cheering.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like, unlike, and we'll get into how we personally liked it, but it felt like, unlike Black Widow, because people enjoyed Black Widow, but Black Widow felt like a weird autopsy because it was like, she's dead.
Right.
People...
It was like 5 years in the past.
Yeah. And this is one that's just like, all right, Marvel continuing the plot moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people were a bit more excited about that. And for good reason.
Yeah, I'll get into why I was more excited as we start the episode.
Yeah, I mean, we've started the episode. What did you? How did you like this movie?
I actually really liked this. I really liked this one. It reminded me of the first Iron Man in like all of the positive ways, in that it felt like it's new. It felt like its own new thing. I mean, there are some connections to the MCU, obviously, but not a lot. Like not as many as you might expect for like the 25th Marvel film.
Yeah, that is actually, it's a really good aspect of this, is that they are trying to get off. They're trying to move forward on their own new charisma.
Yes.
Where they're like, here's a bunch of new people. We're not going to bring back a bunch of people.
It wasn't
to assure you it's a Marvel film.
Right. The only person we had was Benedict Wong as Wong. Really.
And he's barely in it.
He's
not
barely
in it.
Yeah. So it's all about this new cast. It's an entirely new universe, basically, because they start introducing a lot of Chinese mythology. So there's like fantasy mythology aspects now, sort of like how Doctor Strange brought in like the mystical stuff, and then like Guardians brought in the cosmic stuff. This is bringing in like fantasy folklore stuff, and it's the first Marvel film in a long time that has me like excited to see where this one goes. You know what I mean?
Right. You're right that they are bringing in it's hard to nail down what Doctor Strange brought in, because Guardians brought in the cosmic stuff. Then we have the science stuff with the super soldiers and the Iron Man.
Yeah.
And I always loved that Doctor Strange brought in straight up magic. And there was this, I also loved the instinct of having Iron Man and Doctor Strange not like each other.
Right.
Because they're both the same person, but one is magic and one is technology. And then this brings in, you're right, fantasy, like creatures, weird lands, like Lord of the Rings shit, dragons,
folklore and fables and stuff too. Like it's yeah.
So it's a really it's neat that they're all kind of separated in their lore and genres in this interesting way. This movie was I would say it's joy. I enjoyed this movie. I have like one critique of this movie, and it's a Marvel critique, which is that of course it has to be a Marvel film. And so my critique is actually with the action, which is that the first half of this film, the action is fucking great.
Yes.
They have the stunt coordinator, Brad Allen. He worked with Jackie Chan. He was on his stunt team. You can tell. It was shot by Bill Pope, who shot The Matrix.
Yes,
you can tell.
I saw that. In the credits, it was like William Pope. I was like, is that fucking Bill Pope?
Yeah. You can't hide from me, Bill Pope. I looked it up to be sure.
The bus fight, man, like, yes. Yeah,
so
that's
fucking good.
One of the hugest things about this movie. Yes.
Pure joy.
Yes.
My criticism is that the last half, they start doing the big, dragons and shit. And it starts becoming more Marvel-y. And I get that that's just, it's a Marvel film. I get it. Again, it's not really a hit against the movie. The movie was very enjoyable. But it would just been nice to be like, it's just a straight up martial arts fight. They can't really do that. I would just say the action actually got, like, it's good throughout, but the opening stuff is way better in my opinion.
Well, yes, I appreciated that for the big final battle, it's like a martial arts war. It's like a Lord of the Rings, huge Lord of the Rings size battle, but like with people doing martial arts. So I appreciated that they still retained a lot of that. Like when it would get down on the granular level, it was still people going hand to hand with each other with like a staffs and swords and shit.
Absolutely. Yeah, they don't give them big stupid like guns or robots in the air.
Yes.
It's an unavoidable issue for Marvel, which is that like, this shit's like this unspeakable evil bursting out and dragons. Yeah. Like it has to escalate to that. And that's why I'm not like mad at it, because I don't know how else they could have done it.
Well, and it's still it made sense in this story too. Like when something like WandaVision, for instance, boiled down to a superhero fight, that was a letdown because it was like, well, that's not where the story really felt like it was going. This story, it felt appropriate that it would be this big mythological battle in this fabled village and stuff. It was building towards that, so it didn't feel cheap when it happened.
Yeah. Here's what it made me think about.
Yeah.
Which is that this is such a unique style, right? That when Shang-Chi inevitably gets incorporated into the MCU and we get our next Infinity War and Endgame, we're not going to see that anymore.
No,
you know what I mean?
He's just
going to be in a battle. The rings are going to be the primary thing. He's just blasting them around.
It's going to be like when they got Iko Uwais, who is the guy from The Raid. It's like when they got him in that Mark Wahlberg movie.
What Mark Wahlberg movie?
It's called like called like 13 Blocks or something.
Oh no!
I think actually I think I'm mistaken.
That's the Bruce Willis.
That's the Bruce Willis one. It's a similar
with Mos Def.
It's a similar premise. They have to escort Iko like across the city, and he's a big target. But it's I just brought that up as like the most recent example of just a fucking incredible martial artist getting into American movies that do not do them justice.
Yes,
because they don't know how to. We don't know how to film martial arts in America.
Right, and that's why this was so cool, is because it felt like, you're right. We don't know how to film martial arts in America, and this movie does it better than most American martial arts films, I would say, because Marvel. The beauty of this is Marvel has the money to do the work, and it also just has the technology. Like that bus fight, they do like an Old Boy oneer where he's fighting on the bus and the camera, but it's like obviously this is broken up into a few shots. Like that's what I mean is that
what I appreciated about the whole bus sequence and a lot of this movie, which is something they don't always do in Marvel movies, like even though they have the money, they just don't do this.
Right.
Where you can tell. To finish the thought, one of the things I appreciated about that sequence, the sequence on the scaffolding outside of the skyscraper, is these are all heavy effect shots, all of these. Because they're in, it's a fight taking place in a moving bus, it's a fight taking place on the bamboo scaffolding on the side of a skyscraper, etc. However, you can tell that they're still having the person do the stunts.
Yes. Yeah, and that's why I like the Captain Americas a lot too. They but like I guess the difference is like just to go back to the Old Boy comparison, that hallway fight in Old Boy, which isn't actually, by the way, that's not a martial arts scene.
No, it's just a dude fucking smashing people with a hammer.
But they're invoking that with the shot.
Yes, yeah.
That took 3 days to film because they just had to shoot it in one take, whereas Marvel is able to be like, we'll put them on a green screen.
Yeah.
They'll still do the martial arts.
Yes.
They'll do the work.
Yeah.
But we can like seamlessly put it together. And so that's what I mean is they have just more resources to do it easily.
Okay. Yeah, I see. And I don't mind that. Like, I don't mind it
No,
when they're
I don't mind that either.
Like, kind of cheating their way into a oneer, because what matters is that they actually still have the stunt people doing this, and in a lot of cases the performers, because they hired people who could do martial arts for this movie.
What matters is we see the martial arts, and that's when it dawned upon me how great it was when I was like, oh my god, Marvel money towards a martial arts film. That said, there are a couple brawls where they do like a little quick cuts and shaky cams, like they do, and it's like, that's a shame. The bus is really, that's the one that's like,
that's the bus. The bus. I was almost standing up. I couldn't going into the movie. I was expecting to like it. It's new. It has a whole new cast of people. I like all these actors. It's a cool idea. It's a character I don't know much about. Like I know about the Mandarin, but I don't really know much about Shang-Chi. So I was excited to go into this movie, but as that bus scene was unfolding, I was like, holy shit, this is like way better than I was anticipating.
I guess that was the scene the director used to like get involved. That was his pitch, that scene.
It works. That's a hell of a way to start your movie.
Well, because there's a lot of elements to it that's like refreshing. It's a small scale situation that they made extremely over the top,
It felt like
it's just on a bus.
It was the action was really well done, like we keep saying. And it had great. It had the additional element of like it felt like a Spielberg scene. It was like a game that they kept adding to.
Yes, for sure.
So it had both of these elements that were just awesome.
Yeah, and it's the same with the scaffolding.
Yes, the scaffolding
which is
cool as shit too.
Yeah, it's a little more abstract of a scene. Like it was, like it's so funny how this stuff works. Is that like all you really need is two people fighting?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
and that's all you need. Giving them their surroundings, it's like that's why the bus works, because it's like enough of a obstacle. And the scaffolding started getting a little like, they have to flip around, and it's like a little more CGI-ish. Like there was definitely some like when the ninja people are like jumping down and stuff, where it's like, they're not doing that. Mm-hmm. So that's I guess that's what I mean. As the movie progresses, the fights kind of have that, like by the end, when they're out riding dragons and the dragons are swirling around, it was just like, come on, man. I don't care about these dragons fighting. I care about like a one-on-one fight. I care about the martial arts, because that's the most impressive thing. Yeah.
I did appreciate though that even when the dragons got into it, it was still about getting the characters to this point. You know what I mean? Like it was still about getting Shang-Chi and his sister to the evil dragon to kill it.
Oh yeah. They're still fully involved.
Yeah.
They're riding.
Because I was worried for a second. I was like, oh no, is this gonna be like a monster fight? It's like, no, we're not gonna suddenly bench all of our main characters. Everybody's gonna be directly involved in the finale.
Yeah, they had a lot of people to sort of involve too, or rather 3 people. They tried. It's interesting is they tried to make the characters all matter. Which is good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not just about Shang-Chi. And that's that's good, because they have these two other characters, and it would have been very easy to just bench them.
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
They're just over there fighting the battle while he's fighting his dad, and they do that, but then they matter more ultimately. That's not like the final fight. So that was really well done. You could kind of feel them having to do that juggling. I will say, the pacing of this film, I was very impressed by how much they had to do, and you could feel it. But like, you know, like it's that kind of movie where it's like we get them to a location, they're given exposition, and then how can we make them fight right here and now? That's kind of where the bus comes from, is they just had to get the movie started.
Yeah.
But it works. It's just they're really God, I'm trying to think of a good comparison. It's like watching a circus act where you keep thinking they're gonna fall. Where you're like, oh, okay.
Yes, yeah.
Where it's where it's like, oh God, you have so much to put into this. Okay, you're getting it. You're getting by. Like it's they're doing this juggling act with pushing the film along because they just have a lot to do.
It never feels like it though. To me.
I mean,
to me,
I felt it a little bit, but not really.
Not as much as you would in. I'm trying to think of like what's like a real bad example of it. I don't know. It's the Marvel movies struggle with this, but I didn't.
I would
go ahead.
I would say the part that felt sweaty was right at the beginning.
Yes,
where they're having dinner with their
dump.
friends.
Yep.
Yeah. It's stuff like that, where it's like the screenwriter was clearly told, like, you have to get this, and this out. Or not told, but knew. You have to get all that out in, like, five pages.
Well,
it's like, okay.
Well, I could see it. I would have done another pass on that scene, but as the movie progressed, I appreciated how much they were able to, because basically the point of that, there's this right at the top, there's a real sweaty exposition scene with Shang-Chi and his friend Katie as they're out to dinner with their friends. And it's basically, the point of the scene is to establish that they're both kind of squandering their potential. And that's really it, because the other point is to introduce the fact that Katie Awkwafina is like a really good driver. So that's why we meet her as the same scene we meet adult Shang-Chi, is they're both valets and then they go for a joyride in a car, and then we have this scene right after. So as the movie goes on, you understand that was the one of the main points of that scene was to, one, introduce the fact that Awkwafina can drive, because she has to drive a lot in this movie. Yeah. And two, it's to, establish that they're not, that there's expectations on them. So I appreciated the efficiency of having them be valets, but that dinner scene with their friends, the exposition in that scene, I was like, we're in trouble. Because it's like right in the beginning of the movie.
The same. I got nervous. It's a lot of like, hey, show, don't tell.
Yeah.
Like what you're just having these characters say the things. And then they have the breakfast scene, which feels like that could have covered it. That could have been more.
It, yeah.
Yeah, so that felt like, another pass.
Yeah, it was just one more pass. But again, so much, these movies are so modular. And I don't hate blockbuster movies. We come down a lot on how they're bad, and they are bad, but they're bad right now. But obviously, like most of my favorite movies are blockbusters. There's a reason everybody likes them. And Marvel films especially are pretty modular in that they all have to hit a certain number of beats, but I don't mind the format as long as it's done well, and this movie is done well. Like, it's done with care. Like, you can tell they cared about it.
Yeah, we've talked endlessly about the problem with Marvel films is that they're fundamentally hard movies to do right because they have to cram all this stuff that a lot of the time has nothing to do with the movie itself. It's we have to set up this stuff, or we have to and Shang-Chi, this first one at least, benefits from the fact that they were allowed, probably the same way Guardians of the Galaxy benefited, where Marvel wasn't necessarily, like, I've heard the thing where Marvel has been like, this was kind of a gamble for us, and it's very funny because I think Marvel's attitude towards films that they don't regard as important is what makes them more successful.
Yes.
Because when no one's paying attention and Marvel is just like, yeah, just do the bare minimum Marvel stuff, that's when it really works, because they can tell a story and they don't have to cram in, oh, we gotta add, Doctor Strange has to show up and this has to happen and we have to set up this. Like, this is nice and free from that.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine it'll get bogged down with that as we go.
It probably will, yeah.
Yeah. But that is sort of, it's that Marvel films can be good despite being Marvel films, because it's just a real challenge for these writers, in my opinion, and directors, because it's still that thing where, like, I'm sure that dragon fight, I'm sure they were like, yeah, this has to end that way. We're already doing, the work to get this dragon fight going. Like, it's got to be stuff like that. Like, the director has done indie stuff. It's the same pattern where the director is a fairly unknown that Marvel swooped up and knew could just do the things they needed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how involved the director is with the martial arts scenes. I assume they were... it sounds like they brought on people who understood how to do martial arts.
Yeah, Marvel's gotten in a little bit of trouble or controversy for this over this past year, but they famously they tell their directors, we'll handle the action sequences. So I'm not sure how I'm not sure how that went down with this film.
I'm guessing like Kevin Feige and whoever else in power was like, let's make this a real martial arts thing. Like, I think their hearts are in the right place where they're like, we understand what we're trying to do here. We know that we want a predominantly Asian cast and Asian director, and we want to actually cast aside the stereotypes from the comic books.
Yeah.
And I think they have, again, their heart's in the right place. But they probably, the reason they can just kind of switch directors in and out and get new indie directors is because they don't need a director who needs to think about how do you shoot a scaffolding martial arts sequence.
Mm-hmm.
They did know to get people who did know how to do martial arts and how to shoot it. And the director is somewhat involved, I think. I think the director is probably more involved than we're giving. Yeah, more than I'm probably giving them credit.
Oh, yeah, it's fair to say that we don't know. It's
not for this one at least.
Yeah. It's just Marvel has that reputation, and it's ignited some controversy this year. So who knows? It is for all of the positives of this movie, Marvel is a big machine. So
and that's why I guess that's why I'm more impressed with this, because it's like there's all these things coming at them from every direction.
Mm-hmm.
All these expectations, and they're probably locked down certain scenes already. And so, like, they have to make it work. And that's why you get scenes like them talking to their friends at the beginning.
Yeah.
And they're like, let's just get this shit out of the way because we have to hit this, and at this page, this has to happen, etc. So it's just a lot. It's a lot to juggle. And they did it very well.
They did.
Considering that.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about the character who is supposed to be the Mandarin. It's pretty cool what they've done, actually, with this character. In the film, obviously, well, not obviously, but like, if you're a fan of Marvel, you know that Mandarin is a big classic Iron Man villain. And they sort of tease him in the first Iron Man as the terrorists are called like the Brotherhood of the Ten Rings or something, or the Army of the Ten Rings. And that's a reference to his 10 rings of power that he carries. And that's this character in this movie who is meant to be the Mandarin is also like a composite of a different character. It's basically them reconciling the fact that a lot of these characters as written were pretty racist.
Right.
So, and they have a whole scene where like, I think Wenwu is his name in the movie, but you don't really, I think he's only named once. He's the bad guy, Tony Leung.
The dad?
Yeah, the dad.
Wenwu, yeah. He's credited, they still credited him as the Mandarin and like certain, on like IMDb. It's like, I think
that's basically who he is, but like, they have a whole scene where
he makes fun of the fact that he's called the
dunking
Mandarin.
on it. Yeah, he's like, he named it after like what does he say? It's like
an orange.
An orange, yeah.
Yeah.
Named me after an orange or like a duck dish.
I love, by the way, that they identified that the biggest link to another Marvel film they do is Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
With Ben Kingsley.
When Ben Kingsley showed up, I was like, no fucking way.
Yeah. Fuck. Ben Kingsley doing... I love every scene in both this and Iron Man 3 because Ben Kingsley never gets to play the comic relief.
No.
And so it's like him bumbling around, this amazing actor, Ben Kingsley, just playing an asshole. It's amazing.
It's like Sean Connery. Like his best role is like Last Crusade. It's when they get to play these bumbling. I don't know. It's fun. I love Ben Kingsley as this character, so it's fun to have him back.
It's such a weird dynamic where you see all these like relative to Ben Kingsley newer actors interacting
with fucking Ben Kingsley.
And they have to treat him like a piece of shit.
Right, they have to treat him like he's a clown, and it's Ben Kingsley. No, but I love that the Marvel's been really good about this. It's not so beholden. Like it's not. I don't think you could ever call it being disrespectful to the fans or whatever. Who gives a shit? But like they're not so beholden to their own source material. Like they understand when they need to adapt and update and modernize their stuff and what they've done.
And that movies aren't comics,
right?
Like,
yeah, movies aren't comic books, exactly.
Yeah.
So what they've done with this character, I just really thought was cool. Because in addition to being racist, the Mandarin in the comics is kind of cheesy. Like he's this Fu Manchu looking. He's really racist looking character, and also he's kind of lame. Like he has these rings of power, but they just look like Prince John Robin Hood rings. Like they're not very impressive. So, like, having them be, like, these cool-ass bands that come on his forearm and you punch the fuck out of people, it's like, that's awesome. It's way better idea. I don't know.
Here's the thing you're right about all that. This is, something, it didn't bother me in this film, but I'm been more aware of it as Marvel has progressed. I noticed that they're getting scared of having actual bad guys because this character, they still try to make him sympathetic by the end, right? He still has a heroic turn, etc.
Finish that thought. I have a theory, but finish that thought.
I feel like they're doing that more and more, unless it's a big CGI goblin. Like if it's a CGI creature, they have no problem just blasting him into space or doing God knows what to it. But if it's a person now, it feels like almost for a very long time now. Not for I don't know how many past Marvel films. They have trouble just being like they're bad. And here's the thing. That is a healthy idea because it is a more mature idea to say, people are complicated.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to have those gray areas. So I that's why I'm like, I didn't mind it in this movie, and I'm more aware of it than I am critical of it. It's just a thing that's been happening. And I think the only problem is it might make their movies a bit predictable over time if that keeps happening.
I think they just need to, they'll continue to switch it up because it's not always the case. But my theory is pretty much kind of what you just said. It's that I believe, or it seems like they've recognized that not every single villain can just be like, I want, like they can't all just be like, I want power or I want to take over the world. Because that's boring. Like we're 25 movies in, every bad guy can't just be I want to take over the world, or else it just becomes dull. So, and then like you said, having their motives be more complicated allows for more complicated stories. As complicated as Marvel gets, but still.
This is also a very smart move that makes it so that a lot of Marvel heroes you feel like they have blood on their hands, which is that they start making the villains direct results of previous things that happened.
Oh yeah, that's a long standing thing on the internet. How many villains in the MCU were directly created by Tony Stark?
Yeah, exactly.
Like-
And then your vultures and stuff, where it's like
But I think
you're trying to.
Vulture might be the most egregious because his origin story is just the Avengers fucking screwing him for like no good reason.
Yeah, and he's like, "All right, fuck you guys."
It's like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to make vulture wings and steal from you. I'm like, fuck yeah,
Right.
Michael Keaton, steal from the Avengers. They ditch you over.
Yeah, and that does it's logical in this world that happens. So in a way, it was kind of refreshing to see a villain that wasn't like that. This guy is just like an immortal dick,
Right,
just
like
going
he's
around with his 10 rings, being
he's
a
like
dick.
he's sad about his wife, so you understand like that motivation, and he's sort of being tricked by this dark force. But also, he was an asshole for 1,000 years.
Yeah,
like
which is an interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea because they could have just made him that asshole. But they knew Shang-Chi had to, and his sister, Shang-Chi, and his sister, who I forget the name of,
Xiaoling, I think.
Xiaoling.
I think.
They had to get born, and so they have it's basically he's like dickhead, stops, has a family, dickhead.
Well, he meets.
That's how it goes,
right? But on paper, like I mean, in the
it's just interesting that they actually did that. Because it does work.
It works,
but they could have gone the lazy way and been like, "Nah, he's just a dickhead."
Right?
Nothing
They actually show that he has conflict. Like he is an evil guy. He's been an evil guy for 1,000 years. He was decent for maybe 10. Well, he had his family, but it's like
mostly evil,
and there's a genuine conflict there, and his redemption is very small but significant at the end. You know what I mean? Like he just shoves his son out. He saves his son.
Yeah, but also again predictable.
It's predictable, but
yeah,
I enjoyed that, and they even did like some filmmaking shit. Like it's not anything groundbreaking, but like when he comes up to the gate. The premise here is that he believes the Shang-Chi's mother, his wife, who was part of this mystical village, who has died. They did a City of Angels thing where she had to leave her enchanted village, which made her mortal, and then she died because of his 1,000 years of crime. people came a knocking.
That shit catches up with you.
It does. So he's got to bust open this gate. There's a scene where he's coming to the village, and the big final battle has begun, but he stops at the shrine of his wife and kneels and lights a candle. And they film it in a way so that when Shang-Chi comes in to confront him, it's very tight on Wenwu, the father's face. And then you see Shang-Chi come in the back, and that's a pretty standard, it's a basic filmmaking thing to show that it's a private moment and somebody's intruding. But it conveys that like deep down he knows his wife is dead, like he knows she's not waiting for him on the other side of that gate, because otherwise why would he have knelt at the shrine? Why would it have been this personal moment for Shang-Chi to intrude on? So it gives him this like, again, it's not groundbreaking, but it gives him this tiny bit of complexity that makes the I don't know, it works. It's basic, but it works.
Yeah, I think it is key to always remember it's not groundbreaking. I do think like this getting like, this. We can talk all day about how rating systems work, but like, this getting the same score as something like The Lighthouse, it's like,
you gotta remember Rotten Tomatoes. Everybody forgets.
Yeah,
this.
That's what I mean.
Rotten Tomatoes is pass fail. They're if something gets a fresh rating, that means that the review was more positive than negative. It could still, it doesn't mean it's like getting 100% glowing reviews.
Oh yeah. I think it was Infinite that like in the first week had 100%.
Yeah.
It was something like that where it's like, it's gonna take a second.
When you're doing an aggregate, it's on a pass fail, man. It is.
Yeah, I think it's more that we're in a situation where people want to go out, they want to feel something happy, and they want to enjoy themselves. I found. We haven't talked about the humor. Like, for example, I found the humor to be very, like, middle of the road.
Hit and miss. Real hit and miss.
Very obvious most of the time. And the audience was just eating it up. And, like, it's that thing where it's like, surely, jokes can be better like this than this audience. But it's like, who wants to sit there and be like, you guys shouldn't be having so much fun?
Right.
You know, like people are fucking enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
It's a packed theater. Everybody is happy to finally see a Marvel film that isn't like a bummer or that like really like that is doing its job correctly. You know, like this is the first really good Marvel film, I think, since Endgame.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, yeah, fucking celebrate.
Yeah, and like none of the jokes are bad. It's it's stuff that
again, they're just a little obvious.
Yeah,
times.
it's stuff that if you heard it when you were hanging out with a group of friends, you'd be like, all right, like I'm in a fun group. You wouldn't like laugh, but you'd be like vibing. So like
that said,
yeah,
they do avoid the thing I hate, or at least as far as I remember, which is we have this character Katie, and she is the funny one. She's the outsider.
She's the
one everybody explains stuff to.
Yeah,
and she does react in funny ways. They're good at not having her do that in inappropriate times.
Yes,
like at the very end, she's taking it very seriously.
Yes,
there's a couple moments where I assumed she was gonna stick her head in with a joke, and they didn't. They practiced a restraint to the way her character, when her character would choose to say funny stuff. Like when they get to the 10 Rings, that compound, she doesn't crack a bunch of jokes about that place. She's actually nervous.
Yeah.
When they're in battle, there's still some funny stuff because of course there is.
Yeah.
But they showed a restraint with her character that was much appreciated. She's at her funniest when they're at the super fights.
Oh my gosh.
With Abomination. And that makes sense because it's a scene where the stakes aren't high yet, and she thinks it's fun. She's just enjoying, like,
right.
They just made it appropriate, which I like.
Yeah,
they have. It's part of it's how they were able to do it. Like, for example, Trevor, Ben Kingsley's
character,
is a burnout, and he's extremely out of it. And that's just his character. So he actually has the benefit of being funny in scenes that aren't appropriate. And so it works because they're not just they're picking and choosing who gets to be funny, where it's not like a Joss Whedon situation where it's just everybody has quips. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they get to actually use a lot of that to their advantage. Like in some of the scenes, like we don't have to stop and have somebody like, okay, what's happening? You're doing this, he's doing that. They do a little bit of that, but like because we are in the universe where Thanos snapped half the planet out of existence and then they all came, like the entire planet is aware that like magic and aliens and shit is real. So we have have that benefit that helps a lot of that. And it helps avoid the Joss Whedon stuff. Although you still could have put it in there. But it's interesting with Katie's character because she's serving two purposes. Basically, her character is both the comic relief and kind of the romantic interest. They don't have the characters
touch on that.
Yeah, they don't have the characters get together explicitly at the end, but you can tell that their relationship has evolved somewhat, and she's filling the role that the romantic interest would have filled in the movie.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah,
it's
probably.
Again.
Yeah.
It's like it's so weird complimenting this film on, for example, not doing bad things. That's what we're describing with
basically,
her character.
Yeah.
And so it really shows us where we're at with blockbusters, where it's like, oh, good on them for not doing obvious shitty things.
It's not.
But it is important.
It is important. It's like,
for example,
blockbusters don't have to be shit. That's it. They do not have to suck.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Is that this is in terms of writing and character and everything but action. I would say this is average.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is the action elevates it.
I would say the charisma too. This is a real charismatic movie.
Yes. Shang-Chi, he's fucking I don't know that actor.
Simu Liu, I hope I'm saying that right.
Simu Liu?
He's I believe he's the guy from Kim's Convenience, I believe.
Okay, yeah, he's fucking killing it.
Mm-hmm.
They picked a great person for this because he does have a lot of charisma. Yeah, the reason I'm pointing this out, because again, like that seems like it's basic. That was the one thing from the trailer. I didn't feel like he had charisma in the trailer. I felt like he was actually, and a lot of it is the editing of the trailer. And they didn't give him much to do. He's a lot more fun of a character than the trailers made him out to be. Like the fact that he's like a fuck up, that he's like a slacker, is stuff like I didn't expect, and I really enjoyed his character.
It's again, I mentioned up top, like I got a lot of Iron Man, like the first Iron Man vibes from this, and like 90% of Iron Man is pure charisma, and I got a lot of that from this movie.
I think Marvel has hit this problem where they don't know how to make a character serious, and in fact you see someone like Thor. Thor started as the comedy came from him being very serious. You know what I mean?
Which is still the funniest thing to do with him, but yeah.
Yes. But then they slowly didn't, and you could argue like, yeah, it's because he hung out with humans more. But they have this, like Guardians of the Galaxy, they're devolving into idiots. Like Dave Bautista's character,
Drax is a fool by the end of by the second one.
In the first one he wasn't that. So there's
in the first one it was the same as like Thor, where he's funny because he's so serious and he takes things literally.
Yeah. Wong is a character that is kind of undergoing that, although I will say in Doctor Strange the first one they sort of knew
he began kind of sassy.
Yeah. Doctor Strange himself feels like one they're having trouble with because he's like kind of an asshole.
I think they should keep that. We need a character who's just kind of
I feel like they're I don't know what's going to happen with him.
Yeah.
With that Spider-Man trailer, it's like this. He really didn't seem like the same person in that trailer, but of course it's a trailer.
Yeah, who knows?
So like it's nice to see a character like Shang-Chi he seems serious enough. He doesn't make a lot of jokes from what I can remember.
He's got,
but he's likable.
Yeah, he's got a sense of humor, but he's not like wacky quip dude. Like they sort of tried to make everybody Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, and I think you can sense I have a lot of fear around this movie because of what's going to happen once it's integrated into the MCU.
Well, they could.
That's what it is.
They could, like, if you look at Captain America, Steve Rogers, he has stayed. They've managed to avoid doing that with him.
Yeah, he still has "That is America's ass," which is a great line, but like he's also gotten funnier.
The reason why that's funny though is because he doesn't really stop and make jokes that often. So when he does, it's like your dad making a joke. You're like, hey, he's getting in on it.
Yeah. Also, the dynamic there, and I don't know. He was always. It appears to be running on some sort of electricity, which is a very Joss Whedon version of him. But like, I will say I liked that dynamic where it's like the young him is more humorless and the old him is just like a little more loose. Of course, I could do this all day, and he's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They had fun with old you versus new you, in that movie. Mm-hmm. But I think it's when you have 50 fucking leading characters in one movie, they have to get reduced to like caricatures of themselves, because it's like, okay, they have 3 lines in this scene that we have to make them either really serious or really funny. You know what I mean? Where it's integrating this character into larger films. I think it's just, it's again, my fear is that they just won't be able to have the care that they have in this, which, feels inevitable.
Yeah.
Black Panther, that was a serious character.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think they can. I have hope for. I did really like this character and felt that, in addition to just like the actor being super charismatic, like just the way the character was refreshing, because he wasn't a quip machine or jokey wise guy or.
Weirdly enough, he reminds me of Peter Parker.
A little bit.
Yeah, in that he is. They did this. They have this interesting thing, which is when he starts. So you don't. I was surprised at the bus scene because he starts kicking dudes' asses, and at first I thought, oh no, are they gonna make it so that he's like it unlocked fight powers in him and he doesn't know what's happening? And the reveal is like, no, I had an intense childhood. It turns out,
yeah.
And so we're seeing the scene from the point of view of Katie.
Yes.
And that's a good idea because it does feel like it's like fight powers unlocked, and then he explains like, no, I grew up with this. So he has this. He's not like I was bitten by a radioactive spider. I fell into this. He was very much trained, but he was trained in a very insular environment, and the rings themselves are foreign to him. They do this ending where the post credits where like they got Bruce Banner in there, and they got Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And they got Wong, and they're looking at it, and they're like, we're not sure what this is, and they're analyzing it.
They're from space.
It feels very, they're from space, and it feels like very Thanos-ish, where they're like, it's sending out a beacon. What is this? And he says like, welcome to the circus, kid. And you can tell he's like out of his element, and they did a good job with that, where it's like he has these rings, he can use them, or rather like they work with him. They don't explain too much how the rings work in terms of, it's just like he wields them. And like why and how didn't feel that important.
No.
It felt like it was earned enough.
Yeah.
Where it's like he's his father's son, and then he gets half of the rings at first and is able to sort of work with them, and then the father gives him the rest.
Yeah.
And so like he doesn't quite understand it. He doesn't understand this world at all. It's this balance of like having someone be able to wield the powers of this world while not understanding it. I think they did a really good job with that.
Yeah.
Because he was trained, but he was kept in the dark essentially.
Yeah.
And so that's where you get the Peter Parker like, I'm new to this world. I'm sort of a slacker at the same time. I'm not going to be taking this particularly seriously. Like, I really hope they keep that. There's the gag where they go and do karaoke, and they do it at the beginning, and they do it at the end, and they get drunk. I would like, it's like you take Tony Stark's, like, rich guy alcoholism, and this is more like very millennial partying. They do a Venmo joke, you know what I mean? Like, they're grounding it. So it's like a millennial slacker. And I really hope they're able to keep that going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's
Peter Parker is like the generation before that.
Yeah. It's not that he doesn't take it seriously. It's like he was purposely trying to avoid it.
Yeah. But it's very funny that they kind of nail Peter Parker is young. He's Gen Y, right? And he's like, I want to make a difference. Like he's got that like energy. And then Shang-Chi has the millennial energy of like, I'm very tired.
Yeah.
And they kind of capture that.
Yeah, they do.
And I really appreciate that.
Just by having him and Katie be very overqualified for the jobs that they have.
Exactly. I'm very tired. I'm working a terrible job, and I've gone through a lot of schooling.
Yep.
And so I just hope they keep as this character gets passed from writer to writer. I just hope they don't reduce him to something that is just a few quips.
Yeah,
here and there.
Hopefully, we will see.
Yeah. They set up something for Captain Marvel, right? Because she has to like go suddenly.
She gets a page and goes. I don't know if that was because they never explicitly say where the rings are from. I just know from the comics that the Mandarin found the rings of power in a crashed spaceship. So it could be just that she's getting a ping that's related to the rings. I don't know.
I don't know. I like that where she's like, he'll give you my number. He's like, I don't have her number. I like that because Captain Marvel, I feel like, needs to be established. You know, she needs another film. We need to.
They're working on one. I think actually the Candyman director is making it. I believe.
Nice. Nia DaCosta?
I think so. I believe that's right.
I believe you're right too. I just realized like I don't know as much about her because they kind of make fun of it as she's like an inaccessible character.
Right, she's like a god. She keeps zooming in and out. It's like, well, she'll be here when she's here. We can't really make her do anything.
Right, and Bruce being like, I don't have a number.
I appreciated that Bruce was still in a cast too from Endgame.
Yeah, they keep they pay attention to that shit.
don't really have anything else to say other than that this was this is a sweet Marvel film, delightful Marvel film.
It was everything we kind of thought it was going to be, which is that Black Widow came and went, and we talked about this a bunch with that one, where it's like it felt like Marvel wasn't getting over their previous phase.
Yeah.
This feels like the actual start of Phase 4. Pushing like the Loki show, pushing aside WandaVision, pushing aside all the TV shows, everything. This feels like the definitive, like, okay, it's begun. Like this feels fresh plot-wise. It is, I would say, average as a story. As a blockbuster, I would say it's above average for right now. And as an action film, I thought it was fucking great.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was written by the writer of Doom,
sure,
and Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
So, and Ant-Man and Zombieland. It's weird. And Horseman, starring Dennis Quaid.
Sure.
You remember that movie?
No, but and I'm glad it exists. That's it. We're done. now that this is happening, we're done.
Fine. We won't talk about Dennis Quaid's Horseman movie.
No, we don't need to do that.
Hey, folks, thanks for listening. Listen, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed.
Woo!
You can go on there. You can find exclusive podcasts like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman and Fox Mulder's a Maniac and Star Trek The Next Futurama. For $10 a month, you can watch movies, but also those exclusive podcasts, just $5 a month. That's it. It's the same cost as renting, I don't know, Horseman with Dennis Quaid.
Probably. Yeah. You could a month full of free podcasts or a single viewing of Dennis Quaid's Horseman. I admit, tough choice. We also have a store. Head on over to gamefullyunemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store because it's kind of complicated. It's a lot easier to just say gamefullyunemployed.com. We got t-shirts, stickers, posters, mugs, all kinds of neat, cool things. So check it out.
Do it.
Yes.
Do that
thing. All right.
You should watch Horseman.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go watch Horseman right now. I'm vibrating with anticipation.
Let's watch Horseman. Mm-hmm. Let's delete this podcast.
Yes.
And let's just do Horseman.
Let's do Horseman, but we title it Shang-Chi.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Fuck all of you.
Yep.